Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I'm here today with my buddy, Cameron Jones.
Hello.
And haven't done an episode in a while, mostly because it's hockey season, so I don't get to go out and fish a lot. But I'm going to go fishing with him tomorrow because it's winter break.
Yep.
And just wanted to go over our top 5 baits each of what we like to throw in the winter. So I'm going to start off here. My first bait I like to start off with is a jerkbait, a suspending jerkbait. I got 2 different colors here. Don't know if you guys can really see that, but 2 different colors. One's got a longer bill, one's got a shorter bill. Fishies will really slow and usually wait like 20 seconds after you take a couple jerks with it. Wait 20 seconds, let it sit there and suspend, and then take a couple more jerks with it. This is usually what I start off with when I fish during the winter, and it usually produces, sometimes it doesn't. Next I like to go to blade bait. I got 2 little colors here, and one's silver and black and one's silver and blue. I usually do this yo-yo style with a spinning rod. I like to throw a 7.3 spinning rod, but it usually produces, and it's a really good bait to use during this time. And I would stick with a 1/2 ounce in these. If not, then the sinking doesn't sink fast enough, so I like to use a 1/2 ounce.
That's effective.
Next, I'll go to a spinner bait. Usually choose a 3/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce, or a 1/2 ounce, depending on the depth of the water. Like to throw a white or a chartreuse, depending on the color of the water. Usually if it's clear, I'll throw white, and usually if it's a little dirty, I'll throw a chartreuse. I actually don't like to use these blades during the winter though. I usually like to use these little skinny double blades. I don't really know what the blades are called. I'm not a big spinnerbait person, but I like to throw these during the winter. Next bait would be either a Texas rig crawl. I got 2 different hooks here. One, I usually stick with a 3/0 to a 5/0. Use an offset shank, or I'll use a Y-gap. And then I stick with a 1/4 to a 1/2 ounce slide weight, and then I'll throw a black and blue crawl or a natural colored crawl. And if that doesn't produce, then I will go to a 1/2 ounce jig to a 1/4 ounce jig, finesse jig, or just a regular jig. Depends on the depth of the water again and the clarity of the water. Usually stick to that for the crawl style. And then my last bait would be a 1/2 ounce shaky head or a 1/4 ounce shaky head with a finesse worm or Senko. Usually watermelon red color or black and blue. So hopefully you can try those out, see if they work. Now we're going to get to Jonesy.
Hello guys. Well, I'm going to start off with the shaky head. I usually throw it, let it sink to the bottom, pop it up a couple times. That probably produces some fish for me. Then I'll probably have to go with a black and blue jig with a black and blue trailer on it. These work really well in winter, summer, fall, and in spring. Then I'll be moving to like the moving baits, and like a white deep diving crankbait with some chartreuse on the top with a pink belly.
You slow roll that, or do you?
I do slow roll that. The fish like the reaction bite, so we want to keep that moving. Then I'll go to a white spinnerbait. This, you just throw it out, let it sink to the bottom, and reel in slowly. Fish love these no matter what season it is in. Then I'll be going into my this bait, which is a buzz bait. This is good for when it's not too terribly cold. I say probably around 40s to 50s in the winter time. You probably produce a couple bass. Then I'll go into the Texas rig, which was used just used a 3/0 hook, and any color. I go with watermelon red or a natural color for the worm. Then if you want to get a little bit deeper, you can use some tungsten weights, depending on how far or how deep you're going to throw it. And that sums up my top fishing baits for the winter. and I'll give it back to Cameron.
Now, what he was talking about with the 40 to 50 degrees, we live in the Midwest in southern Indiana, so we get really big temperature changes during the winter. So you could be out one day fishing in 20-degree weather and the next day fishing in 60-degree weather. And you really don't know when you go out there. So your baits will switch off drastically through the winter period, during the fall period and spring period. Usually summer stays the same. But depending on the temperature outside, with the spinner bait especially, if it's colder, you're going to slow roll it down through the bottom. But if it's warmer outside, like it gets up to the 40s or the 50s, you're going to want to do it faster. And that's the same with the jerk bait. You're going to want to fish it slower the colder it gets and faster the warmer it gets.
Pretty much with all these baits, it just depends on how cold it is.
Yeah.
If it's warmer, pop this up faster. Then when it's colder, pop it up slower. Then with shaky head, just pop it up faster as well. Then for the crankbait, that's when you start reel it in, reel it in, reel it in, instead of reel it, stop. Then for the blade bait, you can just spin it however you like. You can spin, keep your rod tip low and spin it across the round, probably about a foot deep from the surface, and you can get fish from there too.
Honestly, if I were you with a buzzbait, I wouldn't use it that much unless you get you have a long period of time where it's cold outside, and then one day it gets really warm. Then those fish are probably going to be busting on topwater, and you're going to want to throw a buzzbait or some type of topwater bait. But that usually comes in handy too, especially when the winter and spring transition time. They're usually hitting buzzbaits pretty good.
They're just going to move up shallow and spawn, and that's when you can usually get them.
And in the colder weather with a jig or a Texas red crawl or something, or a shaky head.
Something with weight to get down to the bottom. You're
going to want to fish it really slow. I like, especially when it's cold outside, to just slowly drag it along the bottom. Yeah. I'll give it a pop every once in a while, but I slowly just drag it along to where I can feel every rock and every stick that I'm hitting.
Yeah, like for the jig, you want to throw it against structure. You don't want to throw it out in the middle where you don't know where it's at. You want to try to find structure, throw it around there, see if bass are curled up by those rocks and limbs or docks.
But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you get some tips out of this. Hope you catch some bass this winter. And let me know if any of this helped you out. So thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys enjoyed the video.